All right. Welcome to Problem Solver Politics. I am your host, Cardon Ellis, and today my co-host is Mark Murphy, and we got in the studios Scott Harris.
Hey, it is a pleasure to be here. I mean, we represent the boomers, and the boomers are probably responsible for the mess that we're in. So somewhere in there, we're Republicans and Democrats trying to fix this massive problem called life.
All right, so Problem Solver Politics, we've got some really, really cool show material coming up. Next week, we have got Steve Knight.
Yeah, is that not fantastic?
Congressman of the 25th District coming on the show. He is confirmed. We're really excited to have him. Last show was Jess Phoenix. That was pretty good.
A wonderful, smart scientist who represents the Democratic cause. And I got to tell you, I now know what a volcano expert is.
A volcanologist, yes.
Yeah, it's something like this.
Yeah, and she was endorsed by the Gays in Space, so we all have to know the Trekkie terms now. So, okay, cool. So check this out. Today we got a pretty fun show. We're kind of winding down before the June 5th elections here. So we're actually going to go over the measures. If you're watching us on Facebook Live, look, if you're not watching us on Facebook Live, you should try tuning in because it's pretty cool. If we ever have visual aids we want to show or any kind of pictures we want to put up, we're actually pretty good at bringing the digital media with us. And it's a pretty fun experience watching it on Facebook Live. So if you have the opportunity to tune in on Facebook Live, we highly recommend it. If not, don't touch that dial. Stay here. We'll gladly explain to you what's going on. Anyway, today we're going to do three important things. First is we're going to give Mark a little bit more of an opportunity to introduce himself and who he is. A lot of people were asking how I let him through the door last show. And then then we're going to talk a little bit about Scott and him and his expertise, both in the economic and the political theater and not specter. What am I looking for? Not spectrum. What's the word? Come on. Oh, this is horrible. In the sphere. I don't know. We'll look up a thesaurus next time.
It's called life.
Yeah, just life. He's got the best, most milky smooth Marvin Gaye voice this side of the Newhall Avenue. So we're going to love talking with him. And then we're going to go over the voter guides and show you how you can avoid being... No, I'm not kidding you. These things, you're going to start getting flooded with voter guides. The first 3 of them came this week, and we're going to show you how not to be fooled by voter guides and all the trickery that they do in these voter guides. So we got a pretty sweet show coming up. To start things off, though, Mark, give us your backstory. Tell us about yourself.
Hey, well, the fun part about it is I'm a son of a military officer, and I went straight into the military, had 12 years of active and reserves, graduated of Georgetown University, started out working for a little bit of Nixon time. I was really happy when Reagan came into office as I was overseas. I have voted to invade Iraq with the rest of the Republicans and watch that great fiasco unfold. But along the way, I evolved. I kind of drifted away from McCain and wound up voting for the man who's lasted for 8 years. I have absolutely moved to the left because my party left me. I am so sorry. But a businessman of over 35 years and a lot of other experience. But, hey, life changes. You evolve.
Okay, we call that victim blaming in sociology, but just kidding.
Somebody's got to get the money. Hey, come on.
All right, so Scott, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us the story.
The story is I've lived here for 33 years, moved here out of graduate school in Arizona. So I grew up in Reno, Nevada, went to Utah State University, played basketball there. That's how I met my wife. I'm the only guy here that married the coach's daughter and survived. Been married for going on 36 years this year, and have 4 beautiful daughters. Been in the financial industry for 30-plus years.
With 4 daughters, good thing you were in the financial industry.
Absolutely. 4 weddings means that's why I'm still working. You know, I got to pay for another wedding, two more weddings. So I'll be here a long time.
All right. So what do you do? Tell us the story without giving away too many details.
Yeah. Well, I can't really say who I work for. I don't have their clearance, but I'm in what they call the ultra high net worth business. Work with families generally who have close to 25, 50 million and up. Basically helping people organize their lives after they have a liquidity event, usually after they've sold a business or concentrated stock, things like that. and we basically look at everything from estate planning, how you want the money to grow, lifestyle, everything. We do, we help people organize all those issues, deal with family issues. It just goes on and on and on. I mean, right down to, do I buy the jet or lease the jet? Things like that.
Tough life. Just to give you guys an idea that are out there listening, to put it in layman's terms, Scott really knows what he's talking about economically. And when he changed from being an East Coast to a West Coast guy, it made it onto the cover of the Wall Street Journal. So he's a big deal, and he knows what he's talking about. Tell me really fast in, I'd say, I don't know, the next 30 to 60 seconds, what are your views of the economics of the Trump bump? Before we go anywhere and talk about some of this other minutia, is the Trump bump real? And if so, why or why not?
Absolutely, it's real. And the reason that it started from the day after he was elected was because I believe the electorate believed that they now had a business-friendly person in the White House who believed that the dollars that they earn are their dollars and not the government's dollars. And I believe that, not just pointing at Obama, but going back to Democratic, administrations that believe that Washington believes it's their money to spend. And I'll even, point my finger at a lot of Republicans out there. So I'm not saying it's not both, doesn't go both sides, but the market really jumped based on the idea that you had someone who favored, hard work, personal responsibility, and that, lower taxes would be a stimulus to the economy. And I think you're seeing it. I think you're absolutely seeing it. Though there are some issues with the tax law that we can talk about later. Because if you earn a lot of money and it comes out on the W-2, then people are fleeing the state. And so that's a big issue that California, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Illinois are all dealing with right now.
Okay, so I guess in one sentence, before I spout my heinous opinions, would you say these first, not 100 some odd days or whatever you want to call it, these first, this first time since he was elected has been good or bad? Has the Trump administration from an economic perspective been good or bad?
Good.
Good. Excellent.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say more than good. I'd say excellent.
Because I've had this feeling. I can only go off of my feelings. You can't analyze the macroeconomic sphere all in one glimpse, right? But I deal a lot in entertainment with a lot of very liberal people, and they oftentimes ask me, "Oh, are you a Trump supporter? Are you this?" Well, first off, I support him because he's our president. Just like I said, I supported Obama because he's our president. Okay, so that term "supporter" to me is just mundane. But second, they always say, "Oh, he's been the worst president," and they always like citing economic terms. And I've never understood this because I don't see how Hollywood, of all places especially, can't see the massive amount of investment people are willing to make. Rich people make movies. Like, studios don't make them anymore. Banks make them. Rich, wealthy investors make them. I mean, James Cameron is making right now the Avatar 2 and 3 and is amassing money, okay? I think it's going to be the first $1 billion movie. I think he's going to set like a Guinness Book of World Records of like he's making 2 and 3 at the same time, kind of like Peter Jackson made The Lord of the Rings all at the same time. Okay, he's doing 2 and 3 at the same time, and amassing such funds because it's such a quote good investment that they're thinking it's going to hit the $1 billion threshold. If you read all of the speculation online, and it will literally be like, I mean, it's going to have its own GDP of a banana republic. This movie series will, right? But that only happens because people are willing to invest. I went to a gun show the other day, and I was amazed. The guy that teaches the self-defense courses that all of the doomsday preppers take when they're sure the FBI is going to bust down their door to take their guns, you know? I mean, these people I recognize, all right, as a person who trends conservative on gun control, I recognize they're a little bit crazy. But either way, he said his registration was down since Trump was elected because nobody thinks the government's going to come and take their guns anymore. And gun sales had been down because everybody was scrambling to get them before Obama passed some kind of executive order outlawing them altogether.
That's absolutely true. If you look at the gun stocks are actually, the values are down because of that issue alone. Under the Obama administration, they were fearful that they were going to pass some kind of law to take your guns away, and so people were out buying them with every spare dollar they had. So that's changed under Trump for sure.
It has, and as a person who's actually had a wife who's been shot by a gun and killed, I have a certain perspective concerning that. I'm an NRA safety officer, so I understand the importance of gun safety and having guns for self-defense, and I've always had one. But I also recognize that good gun legislation that keeps guns safer, takes care of the people who use them better. California has stood up front. That's one reason we have less mass murders than we've seen in other places. We have one of the lower gun rates. And despite the fact that gun sales go up or down, I'm not sure if that's something that we should be proud of as a country. We sell more guns than the next 8 nations combined. I'm not sure we should be proud of that.
Well, let's just stay. I'll take you on right there on one issue, and that is that I believe right now in L.A. County there are only 200 people as citizens that have a concealed carry permit.
Yeah.
I think that is just, that's socialist, communist, whatever you want to call it. I'm so strongly against that. I've tried for 30 years that I've lived here in California to get a concealed carry permit. I've had people who were in charge of, SWAT team in L.A. County. I've had endorsements from, our longstanding congressman. But unless I was willing to cough up a awful lot of money, I wasn't going to get a carry permit, and that's not right. Shouldn't be for sale.
And I agree with you that probably is something. As a guy who was involved in a business that was affected by organized crime, I have an understanding that, sometimes you do need defensive weapons. But
wait, that's just cool. Wait, a business affected by what were you pushing, dude?
Well, when you stumble on organized crime, it's a lot of fun.
I mean, that's a pretty big teaser, dog.
It's a big teaser.
As a guy who met Pablo Escobar.
I wish it was the Mexican mafia, and trust me, it is no fun to suddenly realize that you're the target. But I also learned something. I could depend upon law enforcement. They did their job. Yes, I would have loved to have a concealed gun permit at the time. But since then, I look at it and go, you know what? I'd rather live in a safer area. And yes, maybe we can tweak that. But so many of these other states are out of control, and they experience that with the sheer amount of firearms, the number of people who are not properly trained. And also, I would not want to be a black man in America, given the amount of people that are gunned down unnecessarily for unbelievable reasons and the amount of gun violence that we have in America. Something's wrong.
Or you'd rather just be a black guy with a gun.
No,
so you wouldn't have to worry
about it because, my gosh, you're going to get shot, period. No. Something is wrong.
Nobody's going to come in, man. Like, dude, you go to Switzerland. I swear, I don't want this to go to atrophy into a gun control debate because that's actually 2 shows from now. Right. And we're going to have a lot of really angry people
on.
I'll
have to come back.
You know what I'm saying? We'll have to come back to that one. But I do definitely think the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. And I think every minority community should be completely trained in firearms because, dude, like, I know I've mentioned the Pink Pistols before. They're a LGBTQ plus a minority gun rights group where if you're gay and you have ever felt threatened or don't ever want to feel threatened, they teach you hand-to-hand combat and gun control and gun use. And I got to tell you, man, if I were ever to see, if I were some thug that wanted to go thump on somebody and I just saw like that little plastic sticker that says, I've got this and I know how to use it, I would think twice about that.
Well, I haven't been on specialty teams that responded to terrorist activity for many years and also have done advanced martial arts for 5 years, 3 to 4 times a week where I worked on intensive hand-to-hand combat techniques. I'm going to tell you, 99% a percent of the people out there that have a gun, one, don't know how to use it, and definitely will not know how to use it under pressure. In a highly intense situation, they're just flat out dangerous to themselves. So we've got to learn. There's a lot going on here, and it's not an easy subject. So, yes, you're right. It deserves its own show.
Yeah, so it will be its own show. I do agree with you on the training, though. I mean, I think when the Constitution says a well-regulated militia, a militia insinuates training.
Absolutely.
So I think we should have I think we should have some serious
or
training
just
out
a very
there.
good shotgun pointed down the hallway.
Yeah.
The,
we just learned
the
that.
weapon of choice for home defense,
It is,
not
it
that
is.
AR-17 or
No.
AR-15 or
No.
M16
It's
or
a
AK.
shotgun because you don't want it to
Absolutely.
go through the wall and hurt somebody.
That's true.
what
Your
All right.
neighbors will love you.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break here really fast, but make sure you don't touch that dial because I've got 3 or 4 of these voter guides in my hand, and we're going to go over each one of the candidates and each one of these measures like a shotgun really fast. And not like a shotgun, sorry, like a machine gun. We're just going to be, we're just going to be shooting one out after another, either ridiculing these guys, praising these guys. That was so gender biased of me. And ladies, all right? So don't touch that dial. This is Problem Solver Politics.
Santa Clarita Philharmonic has begun its season of free concerts. The SCP is a non-profit community-based volunteer symphony orchestra comprised of local musicians from throughout the Santa Clarita Valley who are dedicated to providing quality classical music for the residents of the Santa Clarita Valley. Like the Santa Clarita Philharmonic on Facebook or visit santaclaritaphilharmonic.org for more information.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals, too. Call right now. Operators are standing by. 1-800-452-1075. 800-452-1075. 800-452-1075. That's 1-800-452-1075.
At Discovery Cube Los Angeles, every day is an adventure. LA's newest science center brings education to life and lets guests climb on a rock wall, soar over California in his simulated helicopter, or score a goal against an LA Kings hockey player. It's like a theme park for the mind. Now through September 3rd, take a bite out of Dino Summer with your prehistoric pass to the new Dinosaurs Around the World exhibit, all at Discovery Cube Los Angeles. Get your tickets now at la.discoverycube.org.
Do you like to rock across Africa?
Then the wait is over.
Africa Rocks! Africa's Greatest Hits is now available at the San Diego Zoo! And who could forget 99 red baboons?
Or the African crested porcupine smash hit, I Got Quills to Pay the Bills. Hey, don't get too close.
And the hits keep on coming!
Africa Rocks has all your favorites from 6 different African habitats.
Hungry like a leopard!
Ibex is back.
Harder, better, fossa stronger!
And a new track from Kendrick Lamar.
Now, Larry,
Yes, Chuck?
a collection of this magnitude, I'd fly to Africa!
Well, don't pack your bags, friend. Africa Rocks is only available right here at the San Diego Zoo.
Wow, that really does rock.
No, it Africa Rocks.
Welcome to Africa Rocks. Experience 6 different African habitats, including our first ever aquatic enclosure with African penguins. Only at the San Diego Zoo.
Right, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. This is Cardon Ellis. I am here with Mark Murphy and Sky Harries in the arena.
Keeping it balanced.
So the rule is the first round everybody plays nice. The second round we ask all the mean and the hard and the difficult cringeworthy questions. And then the third round we just wrap it up and all hug and play nice. So this is the second round. I'm going to have a ding 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 with like a pretty girl that walks behind us holding an arena card one of these times just to really bug the feminists.
I'm in.
You know what I'm saying? Just to get this pegged somewhere on some vlog. But anyway, today actually it's interesting. We're starting to get all of the voter guides in the mail because People make money off this, actually. I don't think you've noticed that, but here's the top 3 that have come this week. If you're looking on Facebook Live, you can see them. If you're not on Facebook Live, it's the Continuing the Republican Revolution voter guide, the Canyon Country Republicans voter guide, and the We Recommend the Following California GOP voter guide, along with a couple of things from educators. However, yes, you get the California Democratic Party one.
Yeah, I get both.
Yeah, he gets both. He only needs to pay attention to one, though.
We're a confused household.
So just so you guys know, voter guides are a very interesting business, and you don't actually need to qualify for the criteria of the voter guide to pay to get on it. Many candidates use this as cheap exposure. Also, many, I like to call them predatory political players, make voter guides in order to simply just get donor money from these campaigns to make cash. All they have to do is literally kind of sign up. And then if you look closely, you'll notice there's real ones and there's fake ones. For example, the one from the Democratic Party, obviously it's real because the Democrats put it together. The one from the Republican Party, obviously it's the Republicans. But oftentimes these ones that have the funny names like Continuing the Republican Revolution, if you actually look, the first one, it says, vote Governor John Cox. But when you look down, it actually lists and says you should vote for Democrats. And they slip Democrats actually on this voter guide. So, for example, see where it says Republican voter guide right here? It says vote Governor John Cox and then Lieutenant Governor Ed Hernandez. If you look up Ed Hernandez, he's a Democrat. Those sneaky guys. And then for Secretary of State, Controller, oftentimes there's some third-party candidates that you've never even heard of that obviously don't have the endorsement of the Republican Party. What becomes obvious is that these people paid to be on here. And I've actually called up some of these voter guides, and it costs between $600 and $2,000 to get on a voter guide. Now, the only reason why I think this is noteworthy to bring up is because this kind of, I don't even want to call it parliamentary trickery, but this kind of, not underhanded, I'm struggling with the adjective here.
Let's call it commercialism. We're talking about big money. Money's politics now. Right. We have so much out-of-state money. We have so much money that's coming in from unknown PACs sponsored by the billionaire flavor of the month, and we have them bundling together, and so we have this huge amount of money, the largest that's come into the state of California in any election. And this is the primaries.
Democrats are trying to flip the 25th district because they want to get 16 to 33 houses back in the House of Representatives. So they're dumping all kinds of cash in here. That's where all the billboards come against Steve Knight and the Survivors United and Empowered, saying that he's taken $13,000 from the NRA, which they spent more on the billboard than he's taken from the NRA.
$13,000 is nothing in politics. That's what I don't get how they even consider that a large amount of money.
I think anybody relatively in the know would not get angry about receiving $13,000 from anybody because that's almost a clerical error in politics nowadays. But what I find interesting about this is we actually had a case. I had to sit down with Dante Acosta the other day, and he had a really interesting election where somebody ran against him with, let's just say, I'm forgetting the name right now, I should have written this down, but let's just say his name was Ron Nelson, okay, just something normal. Well, another guy, like 2 weeks before the election, registers, or 2 weeks before the deadline, registers to run and vote, never did anything, not even an interview, not even a PR piece or anything, registers as a name, for example, like Ron Nielsen instead of Nelson. And it split the vote through voter confusion enough that the right candidate did not win. So things like this actually matter because some of these measures and some of these races, even in a blue state like California, get pretty quick. And if there's enough Republicans that mistakenly look at the Republican voter guide but say, oh, Lieutenant Governor Ed Hernandez should be voted, he might actually just get it for these poor people that actually think they're supporting their party. So you always got to make sure when you look at these voter guides that it's actually the real deal from groups that you actually do support or do align yourself with. And when in doubt, go Republican. Don't listen to our friend here to the right.
Well, and the most particular thing is, and this is where we are in a total agreement, you need to read this material. You need to separate fact from fiction. But more importantly, when you talk about the lower levels, and the lower levels, we're talking about the judicial slots. Or all those, the treasurers, the guys. It's funny to me when we see a steamboat captain, I think it is, who wants to be a treasurer. I mean, who knows? I'm just throwing that out there, but that's something like reality. Or the actor that wants to be governor. I guess that's happened before.
Twice.
Twice. I voted for him. But anyway, you have to think about this. We sometimes have to realize that it may not be the best way to go.
Exactly.
Do your homework.
So anyway, we're going to go over a couple of these. We're going to go over this whole entire book right now really fast. In the last half hour, I'm going to go over this entire little, what's this called? It's not little this year. This year is really thick.
Huge.
Yeah, this one's huge. The California statewide direct primary, election Tuesday, June 5th, 2018. This is the official voter information guide where you get all of the information on each measure and each candidate. And let me tell you, you are going to want to turn this up because liberal people, there is some stuff on here that is so cringeworthy, you're going to want to throw something at your radio. And conservative people, there's some stuff in here so communist that you are going to feel like you are escaping the gulags of Siberia. All right, so we're going to dive right in.
Move to Germany. You belong there.
Yeah, so here, why don't you go over really fast, Mark, because you're so smart and in the know about socialism that you might be able to explain to me what half of these measures mean in real English, because I sat down with Brittany here and it took a legal guide for me to understand what some of these were. Which way is up on that first page before we get into the candidates? Because I got the candidates covered.
Well, I think it's easier, too, sometimes just to look at them and realize this is the effort by us people to try and figure out whether we can influence what's going on in Sacramento. And also, there are people who are paid to pull these things together so they get some attention. So we have to be careful, though, because sometimes those measures make sense and sometimes they don't. So let's take the first one. Anything that always has parks, natural resources, protecting the environment, we tend to vote yes. So a lot of the support is vote yes. Hey, and it's only $4.1 billion. Hey, in this state, that's not much. Now you move to the next one. Let's talk about voter 69. Now, in the case of 69, it's about transportation. Now, whenever we talk transportation in this country, we tend to forget that this highway system for most of this country was built starting in the 50s under a Republican president and a Democrat majority in the Senate and Congress. They had the first introduction of the gas tax, and that gas tax has not kept up with inflation. So guess what, folks? Our road system collapsed. Along the way, we've had to step up and pay additional higher gas taxes. Compared to what I used to spend in Germany, this is nothing. But it's recognized we've got to fix our road system. So in this case, they're going to spend money on transportation and not take it to fund, let's say, expenses for the prison system. It's just one of those things where you keep it focused. So it's a yes on that one. You got any problems with this?
Do you know that it actually is on the highway system? It says transportation, but that can be, rail.
This bullet train. Are they going to put another $5 billion towards a bullet train?
$5 billion for the bullet train. That wouldn't pay for 100 feet. I agree with you. I haven't been in favor of the bullet train since they started building one in Japan. I don't know what we're going to do with it because why do we need to go to San Francisco that frequently, let alone Sacramento? So bottom line is, why are we doing it? I haven't figured that out.
Okay, so you're a yes so far on specifically Proposition 68 and Proposition 69.
As long as it's not the bullet train.
Which I do notice is on the California Democratic Party official endorsements voter guide. Now, here's my only beef with this, okay? I don't think every time a Democrat proposes something that it's automatically bad. I voted for qualified parties.
Democrat. I think this is
Look, it's spending in California, and Democrats hold 67% of our legislature and every statewide office. I would almost bet my Russian roulette bottom dollar on the fact that this was proposed by a Democrat, okay? So my only beef with this is I will use anecdotal evidence here, which I know is weak, but I believe it's demonstrative of the situation of our politics in California and is very accessible to our listeners. I was asked by a principal in LA Unified School District to come and do a rodent control job on this very old school that had lovely Art Deco architecture that was literally getting overrun with rats. It was so bad that during class they had chewed a hole through the classroom, and the kids with health concerns were freaking out because they saw it. Parents hear that there's rats in the school. Rats contain 64 different diseases, so everything starts going crazy. They call me exasperated, saying, "Can you come down here?" Yes, they were very
we have
big.
big rats in California.
This is Los Angeles. We do everything bigger.
Yeah.
The bigger
Yeah.
hair, more glamorous, everything. Our
Tails
rats are
that
even
out
bigger.
here.
So what happens, though, is I go to the gymnasium. She flips the light switch on, and all of a sudden we see these rats scatter, and they were infesting these 5 or 6 very expensive shrink-wrapped copy/fax machines. And I said, "Oh my gosh, you have got to get these out of here. Rats love electronics. And these things, they've got to be at least 50 or 60K each. I mean, these business machines are massive and expensive." She had like $250,000 worth of technology in this leftover gymnasium that she didn't use anymore because it's been sealed off for rats for the past year, right? And she said, "Oh, yeah, I know. Don't worry about those. We're not going to use them. I have a use it or lose it technology budget that I had to spend before I lost it for next year. So these we don't even use and didn't even hook up." So my biggest beef with the state of California is everything is done in fund accounting. We never try and save like the average family has to. We always do the lazy route and go to bond measures. Well, we have so much waste in what is now the 7th largest economy in the world that I can't believe we can't find $4.1 billion in our already existing budget to do something as basic as natural resources protection and water quality. So the reason why I'm pretty much usually adamantly no on these things is because I am tired of funding a system that forces a teacher in LA Unified School, a principal in LA Unified School District to spend money that she doesn't need in this sector just so she doesn't lose it for future use, and then has to ask me for free donated pest control. That's what she was doing. She said, "We don't have money to pay you because our budget is already exhausted for maintenance and facilities. So would you be willing to donate the $20,000 that it would take to clean out the rats in
Maybe
this
she
place?"
could give you one of those computers and we could break it down and sell it. You know?
Yeah, it was already ruined, and we did accept bartering back then when I worked for that company. But I get tired of putting tax dollars into a system that wastes it over here and then asks for more of it here. And then the worst part is that they're always leveraging the pensions of the park rangers and the firefighters first. Or, "Oh, well, you don't want to pay us that $4.1 billion? We're not going to take it away from this wasteful bullet train. Guess we just have to close the state parks and not pay the firefighters." You know what I'm saying? That's the attitude that bothers me.
We'll take a look at 69. I mean, if you read 69, it actually says requires that certain revenues generated from 2017 transportation funding law
Already approved.
to make sure that it isn't diverted. And that's the problem, is that they write these laws
Right.
and they're not specific enough so that they have to go where they're needed. Now, look at the tax. The gas tax is one of the most recessive taxes on the books, because who does it hurt? It hurts the working guy.
Everybody,
but it really hurts the working guy that has to, get up every morning, drive from Palmdale to, Long Beach to get to work, a laborer or whatever he might be doing, and that extra dollar, or 25 cents or whatever it is in for every gallon of gas, it hits those people. It's not hitting the wealthy. It's not hitting. It really hits the working class. And so, that's why I'm against most of these measures anyway, since they changed it to where they can, you don't need at least a 2/3 vote. It's just a 51%, and you can change tax law or add taxes to hit wealthy people or whoever you want.
Yeah. Also, I lost a little bit of trust. I hate to say this, but I lost trust. I'll use the T word. I lost a lot of trust in Jerry Brown when he did that 0.25% increase of sales tax. Remember when he said, "Will you join me in raising the sales tax 1/4% for our schools, and then not a dime went to the schools.
Right.
Like not a dime went to the schools, went to down payments for who knows what.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what is really interesting. You got John Chang running for governor, right?
Yeah.
He used to be the state treasurer. In the business that I'm in, understanding whether what municipalities, if you're buying muni bonds, which are tax free, right, both federal and state. And we had some real issues in 2006, 7, 8, 9. During that time frame where were we really going to, was the general obligation of the state of California really tax worthy, or investment worthy? Was it an investment grade bond? And the issue was that whenever payments have to go out to a general obligation bond, they rob all the dollars. It doesn't matter if it's going to pension or here or there. Mm-hmm. They go, well, we don't have enough in the general fund, but we're going to take it from teachers. We're going to take it from LA Fire. We're going to take it from here. Mm-hmm. And then we put an IOU over there, and now we're going to pay it back. Well, guess what? Why are the pension funds underfunded? Because they haven't been paid back.
And not only are they underfunded, we were well overspent in this state, and we needed to get it corrected. And so when the big fallout of the Bush administration took us straight down and lost over 50% of the net wealth of this country in that very damaging period of starting in 06, 07, 08, and what we experienced after that, I'm looking and saying we need good, sound measurements. We need good, sound business spending. But in this state, if we don't take care of our air and water, we know the federal government is definitely not under the Trump administration. He's promised to destroy the EPA. He's clearly shown that he's going to do it. So we're going to be breathing bad air. We're going to have lots of rats in our schools.
No, but be honest. Getting rid of the federal EPA would empower the state EPA, and as crazy tree-hugging psycho as some of these
South
wannabe
Coast Air
Berkeley
Quality Management District has run more manufacturing firms out of the state of California than any other agency that I know of. You can't. Nothing is done with metal anymore. You know why? There's nothing is anodized here or chromed here,
right?
Because of the emissions, and all those jobs are in
poison.
Nevada and other places.
We chased the poison out of Los Angeles and sent it to other places. Having been in mobile chemical, having been in a lot of those industries myself, I was in plastic bags for many years, and I will tell you, we needed to do something different.
So not only is that totally racist, all right, because I'm doing a total Democrat thing right now. I'm calling a political point of view racist.
I thought you were talking about the rats.
No. Because
I haven't figured out yet what the rats have to do with taking care of our national parks. But I'm still working on that. Now, the transportation...
So we let the anodizing go to Mexico right across the border from San Diego so that they can breathe all of the poison.
Hey,
we let it go to Arizona right across the border so that we can just cross the border to get our tailpipes chromed in our classic cars and let the Arizonites breathe it all.
Right.
But as long as the rich Californians don't have to do it, then we're okay. That's
not in my backyard.
I know. NIMBYism.
This is where we want to live. We got better weather here.
All right.
Arizona is simply hot.
Okay. So in summary, no on 68, no on 69. Mark says yes. All your friends can vote yes with you.
If you want to take care of your parks, you want to take care of your transportation.
Now, 70 was interesting. They mentioned cap and trade beginning in 2024, but the Democrats say adamantly no on this. All right.
Cap and trade, that's how we've managed to at least have the environmental rules that we have in place and allow businesses to be able to buy or find a way to make accommodations so they can operate in this state and at the same time meet the environmental requirements. That's why I'm in favor of this thing. I'm in favor of turning this one down because it's going to try and get rid of those rules by saying you got to have a 2/3 vote. Something's wrong with this. We need to take care of our environment, and this has worked very effectively in this state.
Okay. Whenever a Democrat says something's worked very effectively in this state, I sometimes wonder a little bit, only because...
I want you to move to Texas.
We have lost 45,000 residents a month ever since we've gained a supermajority of Democrats in our state. Mm-hmm. And it's not to besmirch Democrats. I mean, the Democrat Party has a very rich history of providing very, very good leadership in this country. They've had some epic failures as well. But JFK and his tax policy and his leadership during the Cuban Missile Crisis was spectacular. Okay, we won't talk about the Bay of Pigs and some of those other things as much.
Take us in that little place called Vietnam.
Yeah. Oh, come on. But the lies of LBJ were more responsible for the prolongation of the Vietnam War.
Ike didn't want to go. He turned it down because they told him it was going to cost between $500,000 to $1 million men to go in there. He said no. Guess what? He was right.
Who said no? JFK.
No, Ike.
Oh, Ike.
JFK had us pumped up to where we were something like 40,000 advisors in that country. That's a lot of support. We had already spent billions.
Look, if you're trying to blame the Vietnam War on two Democrats, I'm okay with that. So
anyway, I do. I absolutely do.
That's
because
absolutely true.
I can
because
then hold
Nixon got us out.
Yeah, but then the Iraq War came along, and we just found out how to really spend some money.
I hear you there. Yeah. So, okay, so 71 and 72. Let's go to 71 and 72 before our break really fast. And 71, I was reading, all right, provides the ballot measures approved by a majority of voters shall take effect 5 days after Secretary of State certifies the result of the election. Fiscal impact, likely little or no effect on state and local finances. What was this? This seemed like a big fat nothing burger to me. What is this?
Can you figure it out? Because all I know is the government can't do anything in 5 days.
Right. And I
didn't even know what to think about this when I read it. I was like, "What the heck is this?" So I don't have an opinion.
The issue I have is I have to agree with Mark. Is that how is the government going to get any kind of legislation in place, whatever it needs? Because you need to monitor it. You got to make sure you know where the funds are going. You got to know what's happening. How can you do that in 5 days?
By the way, there's one thing on the ballot. There's one thing on 72 that I actually might agree with the Democrats on. But it's a problem that they're fixing 150 years after they started it. So it's yes on Prop 72.
Did we win the Mexican-American War this time?
No, we're losing.
Look at this. There's actually...
We're losing.
Absolutely convinced of that.
You are responsible for what you say on the show, not me.
That, but we are losing. This is northern Mexico. It's not California.
So look at this right here. Yes, on Prop 72 would mean installing a system to collect and store rainwater on property could not result in a higher property tax bill. People may not realize this, but
water's
38 or 40 states in the union actually have laws against the collection of rainwater that date back to when mining was a serious and viable form of living for many of the blue-collar workers in that state. So you may not realize this, but it has been a misdemeanor in California since like the 1800s to collect rainwater. So all those people that have those little rain barrels that they sell at Home Depot that actually come down are straight up committing a misdemeanor. I think in one of the states when I was reading these like wacky laws blogs, right, if you get like 3 violations in a row, it's a felony. No. You know, it's like it's not a criminal like you go to jail, but like there's a legit big fine, and you have to like. I mean, this is like a serious deal, collecting rainwater. To me, the fact that they're finally admitting we made a stupid law 150 years ago, it's going away.
Well, that could be true. You know, in many places, that's the only place you're going to get water. I lived in Belize for many, many years ago, but the only way that they got clean drinking water was from the rain. And every home had a collection system into a big vat system that filtered the water, and that's the only place you could drink water that was clean.
Okay, so fortunately, the big mining companies that were pushing around the little voters and not allowing them to collect rainwater have now taken it back 150 years later, and you won't go to jail for collecting rainwater.
I want to put a shout out to a Republican, but more importantly, Vista Canyon's project development management and their ownership, because they have created a wonderful water recapture system as part of that city development. That's impressive. They've made a major effort to maximize the use of water.
Well, Sun Valley has had since the 70s a pretty impressive water system as well, right?
Yes, they have.
Yeah, okay, cool. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to allow you guys to vote however you see fit on these propositions according to the wonderful amount of information that you have gleaned from us. Beware of bad and bogus voter guides. Investigate this yourself. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about Kevin De Leon and all of his other friends inside of our voter guide. This is Problem Solver Politics.
We'd like to thank our advertisers and readers for their loyal support since 1991.
Linda and Mo Hafizi, owners of our Valley's 2 leading magazines, Elite and the Magazine of Santa Clarita.
The only magazine in our valley mailed to 80,000 homes and businesses every month, with over 250 pages of community news and features.
Discover how the Magazine of Santa Clarita can help your business. Call 294 4444.
Superior quality is second nature to us. Just ask our advertisers.
Buying your home can sometimes be challenging. That's why Charlene Gill with CSMC Mortgage is your Santa Clarita mortgage expert. What's important to you is to secure a loan at the best possible rate, to have a professional guide you through the process, and to close on time. Charlene's 23 years in the mortgage industry and her personal expert knowledge in the Santa Clarita Valley makes her your mortgage expert. Contact Charlene at hometownstation.com/Charlene. That's hometownstation.com/Charlene.
Hey guys, this is Cardon Ellis, host of the new show Problem Solver Politics, an independent political talk show that keeps you up to date and in the latest political happenings, both nationally and here in the Santa Clarita Valley. Now, this isn't your usual partisan political talk show. At Problem Solver Politics, we have both Democrats, Republicans, and Libertarians hash out their differences on air as we strive to find solutions to today's challenges. Join us Sundays at 7 p.m. for Problem Solver Politics.
If you are at least 55 years of age and have a torn or irreparable rotator cuff, you may be eligible for a no-cost clinical trial at Southern California's Orthopedic Institute's Valencia Clinic. Call 818-901-6600 extension 1525 or visit rotatorcuffstudy.com to learn about a study of an investigational shoulder implant. Call 818-901-6600 extension 1525 or visit rotatorcuffstudy.com. Sponsored by Microair Surgical Instruments.
Finding the right lawyer can be a challenge, but in Santa Clarita, there's no need to search when there's Hacker Law Group, Santa Clarita's premier litigation firm. Jeffrey Hacker has represented celebrities, financial institutions, accident victims, real estate developers, realtors, contractors, businesses, nonprofit organizations, and other individuals and companies with their legal challenges. Mr. Hacker is one of Santa Clarita's leaders, consistently listed as one of our most influential. When everything is on the line and you need legal counseling, visit hackerlawgroup.com.
Start your finish at College of the Canyons with over 700 low-cost summer classes. They have quick 5- and 8-week on-campus sessions. Don't have time to come to class? Online class options make it convenient for you to take classes on your own computer. Incoming high school juniors and seniors, you can take classes too. Take advantage of convenient summer sessions beginning June 4th, June 11th, June 18th, and July 9th. Visit canyons.edu/class schedule now.
Your hometown station.
KHTS wants to help you save money. Go to shopkhts.com for half-price certificates to your favorite restaurants and businesses located right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. Huge savings on your favorite places. You can also buy them right here at the KHTS studio during business hours. Start saving now.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
All right, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. This is Cardon Ellis. We're in the studio with Mark Murphy and Scott Harry.
The Boomer.
The Boomer. What do you call yourself, Scott?
The Shot Master.
The Shot Master. All right. That was a reference to his prolific basketball career in college. Okay, so check this out. We're going to the candidate statements. If you're watching on Facebook Live, we've got the little inexpensive newsprint California Statewide Direct Primary Voter Information Guide in front of us. And we are going to cruise really fast through these candidate statements because this is the thing of comedy. I mean, this is some Saturday Night Live could not make up candidates better than this. Mm-hmm. So first off, Kevin De Leon's here, and I can't stand what this brother has put us through with the SB 54 thing. So I'm not even going to talk about what he has to do, except for I do have to say I'm getting really tired of people that start out a conversation as he does here saying the president is hell-bent on dividing our people and demeaning our California ideals. Oh, stop that.
Oh, come on. It's just facts.
Stop. No, it's not.
No.
The Washington status quo is either look, it says the Washington status quo is either unwilling or incapable of digging in and fighting back. What, are you kidding me? The resistance? Donald Trump has gotten more pushback than Barack Obama did when he was president. It's just that anybody that was pushing back against Barack Obama's social policies or what people perceived as his socialist economic policies was called racist. But see, now it's just the resistance. So you lose me when you start.
Counts.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what counts. We got to focus a little. But I agree with you. Is that it's this? We're talking about the governor, right?
We're talking about Kevin De Leon. Yeah, he's running
the
for
United States Senate.
Senate.
He's running for United States Senate. So, but we're looking at what we can do to take back the Senate.
Plus, I feel like he took advantage of the goodwill of good Democrats and good progressives out there that want good immigrant rights when he wrote SB 54, simply just trying to put himself as more bleeding heart liberal than Dianne Feinstein. I think he dragged a bunch of very good-hearted people through a very bad criminal argument that they did not deserve. So I think he is far too selfish for me to have trust in him. So I will say this, though,
and know that, as I've agreed with you before, I agree with you in this, and had the same stance you did on SB 54.
All right.
I'm not in favor of it.
Pay attention, people. Right. Now, to rip on Republicans for the next little bit here, the big problem with Republicans in California is if you look, we're all holding it up on Facebook Live right now. If you actually look at this voter guide, there's no photograph submitted for the Republican below him named Paul A. Taylor, and it simply just says, Paul A. Taylor, Republican, 40 years of business experience as an entrepreneur, jobs creator, developer of small businesses, and innovator of technologies. That's great, with an address in San Rafael. See, the problem is the Republican Party...
That's just a guy that wants to say that he ran for governor and put on his resume.
I don't know, but if you're trying to do that then, and you're willing to pay the $800 that it takes to get on here, at least submit a photo... You know, I mean,
the next.
Well, maybe he doesn't have the $800, and he was hoping that this was going to get him a job.
Well, the next Republican did, and he says he's constitutionalist, but I don't know anything else about him, and I'm really amazed.
Yeah, Jerry Joseph Laws. This guy just did a mic drop. He literally wrote one word on his candidate statement. He wrote constitutionalist. Mic drop. Right. So we're going to move on from this guy.
Well, we have another one in John Crew, but
Yeah. And that's another. What is this about these Republicans? Are they not ready?
No, wait till you get to the Democrats and these other parties.
It's coming. I know. It's coming.
It's pretty funny. So we got Tim Gildersleeve, which is awesome. It sounds like an old. Who are those people, the bards or the troubadours? It sounds like an old troubadour song, who just starts out by plain old saying, I am a follower of Jesus Christ. I stand for the poor, elderly, disabled, environmental issues, union, small business, and represent the average citizen. So we don't know where he falls because he's mentioned unions and small business in the same sentence, but he's saying that he's an alternative voice for America, no party preference. Awesome. Would have appreciated more details from him, but he seemed all right. This guy, Don J. Grundman, is like the cover boy for This Is Why They Hate Us.
Yeah.
I mean, a campaign for sanity. And out of the gates, he starts ripping, saying there is no such thing as transgender. It does not exist. What does exist are broken people. I mean, this is brutal. And I'm looking at this and I was thinking, this has got to be, I think this has to be a spoof or something. But it wasn't. So as much as, I think we definitely need an in-depth commentary on this whole movement right now. That picture of him just looking like an angry old man screaming, get off my lawn at you, I don't think does anything to promote his cause.
He looks a little bit like Clint Eastwood from a certain movie. I don't know which one it was.
Yeah, so John Jack Crew, he just comes out the gate with another little mic drop. He's just atrocity of abortion on demand must end. Awesome. Okay, cool. I agree with you.
Well, look at Jack Crew. I just don't get it. If you're going to go to the effort, why would you not explain a little bit about who you are?
I am loving this Aaron Cruz. I mean, besides being gorgeous, you know what I'm saying? I mean, this woman is a knockout. She does her own little simple but sweet, less tax, less regulation, less government. Together we will make California golden again. And she's the only one that actually had a professional headshot.
And it's a nice shot.
So it's a good shot. So anyway, unfortunately, gosh, this has got to be a 2-hour show. We just don't have enough time to get through all of these candidates. But make sure you do your own research. Beware of the voter guides, okay? Check out what we have to say here on Problem Solver Politics. Do your own homework. And make sure to tune in next week. Mark, say your goodbye. Scott, say your goodbye.
I just got to tell you, I'm excited that you have Congressman Knight, who I think is a man of character, served in the military, served in law enforcement, has been a wonderful man of character. I just wish he was with another party.
Scott, 5 seconds. Say hi to your wife.
Hey, hi, Lisa. How you doing?
All right.
I love you. Hey, listen, thanks for having me on. It was fun to be here with you. And I would just say to everybody out there, go out and vote your conscience.
Awesome. See you next week. This is Problem Solver Politics.